Hi, welcome back to Grains in Small Places, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a recipe that is near and dear to my heart because this recipe is actually a recipe that my mom has been working on and developing for a really long time, getting it perfect and just right. It's a family favorite and we love having it in the summer. My mom has a beautiful garden and she grows gorgeous zucchinis. Almost every year we get like an abundance. So we're always looking for different recipes that we can make with these fresh, delicious zucchinis, or summer squash, some may call it. I have some other recipes like zucchini bread with sourdough and without. I've made many recipes from her garden, like fried eggplant and all kinds of things. But I wanted to share this one with you because this one is one she had mentioned to me, hey, would you like to share this recipe with your followers? And I thought about it for a while and I was like, well, this is a recipe that everyone in my family remembers and is always kind of special each summer. So it's kind of a little bit in between a chocolate cake and a brownie. It's not chewy like a brownie. It's more like a cake. So it's a chocolate zucchini cake and we're making it with fresh milled flour. My mom doesn't really like frosting or icing or anything like that on cakes. So this recipe is not too sweet because it does not call for any frosting or icing. Of course, if you love buttercream or frosting or chocolate ganache or something like that, you could always top it with that after it cools. But we just sprinkle it with some sugar, some chocolate chips, and she always puts walnuts over about 2/3 of the whole recipe to account for the people in the family that don't like walnuts, and then the rest of us usually devour the 2/3 of the cake that have the walnuts in them. So I really wanted to share this with you today. Thanks so much, Mom, for allowing me to share this recipe with everybody. So let's get started. So today I'm going to use some spelt to make this chocolate zucchini cake. You could use soft white wheat or einkorn or a mix of any of those three grains, even throw in some barley. But today I'm choosing to use spelt. And look at these cute little labels that Haley created. I will post a link down in the description box below to her Etsy shop. She does sell them because we've had a lot of people asking for them. So I'll make sure to put that link down there. I'll also make sure to put the link to this recipe. It's a printable copy so that you can just print it off if you want to make this. I'll also make sure to put a link down in the description box below to all the things that you see me using, these grain bins and my scale and everything. So we're going to start off by weighing the wheat berries. We're going to use 300 grams of wheat berries. That's equivalent to about 2.5 cups or so of the freshly milled flour. I like to weigh mine out, mill them, and then that gives me that amount of grains. Here's my mom's wonderful handwritten recipe. I printed it off and blew it up so that I could see it and I could show it to you. And the first thing we want to do after we mill the flour is make sure that we have some butter pulled out. We just need to use a stick of butter to make sure that that can start getting softened. And I'm going to be using my classic grain mill today. I've been loving this mill. It mills the flour super finely. It's beautiful flour for cakes and cookies and breads and all of the things. I do have a coupon code where you can save $20 off your grain mill at Nutrimil. I'll make sure to put a link to that in the description box below. And that coupon code is GRAINY. To this flour, I'm going to add about a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. I really love using the Ceylon cinnamon. It has the extra antioxidants in it. Oftentimes I'll use either all of this or half of this and half the other, depending on how much cinnamon I'm using in a recipe. Now I promise this cake does not taste like cinnamon. So even if you don't like cinnamon, still put this in there because you can't taste the cinnamon. It just enhances the chocolate flavor. And then to that, we're also going to add a teaspoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of baking soda, and a teaspoon of salt. You all know, if you've been following me for a while, I really love this Baja Gold salt. I do have a link where you can save on your order to the Baja Gold salt if you're interested. I use this for all of my baking. We use it for all of our cooking now. I don't ever have to worry about any salt grittiness or anything. All of the natural trace minerals in it. So this salt is just amazing. And I've had some of you ask, we get the fine grind. I really just like to use the fine grind for everything. It's a little bit more of a moist salt, so it does take some adjustments to get used to it. We usually just have it in a little dish or keep it in the bag, or I repurpose some of my spice bottles that have the really large holes and we just sprinkle it on our food. So we use it at the table also. And then we're also going to use about 4 tablespoons of cocoa powder. That usually is about 28 grams or so. Choose your favorite kind of cocoa powder that you like. Okay, and then we're just going to give all of these dry ingredients a nice little mix until it's all incorporated. And then we will move on to the next step. Okay, I'll set this to the side. I'm going to go ahead and grab my zucchini. This zucchini is from my mom's garden. And we're going to go ahead and just shred this. So this recipe calls for about 2 cups of shredded zucchini. I weighed it out. It's about 248, 250 grams, give or take. You can use a little more or a little less, honestly. If you want to peel the zucchini, you can. I don't find it to be necessary. You don't notice the peels at all in the cake, but you can see the little green flecks. So if you're trying to sneak some veggies into this dessert, if you peel it, nobody will ever know, I promise. If you leave the peel on like we do, you will see a little bit of the green flecks in it, but it's actually quite beautiful. I'm using just a standard cheese shredder. So I just go ahead and shred this all. If your zucchini is super duper wet, like really liquidy, you could always take a towel and squeeze out some of the liquid. I did not have to do that today. The zucchini was nice. I mean, it was moist, but it was not super excessively wet, so I didn't have to worry about that. But if you get lots and lots of liquid coming out while you're grating it, you may need to squeeze out some of the excess moisture, but a little bit of moisture is fine. So I ended up using most of the zucchini. The rest of the zucchini we enjoyed with dinner, and so you just want to use just real close to that 2 cups or so. Also, I went ahead and am buttering my pan here. I'll link this one below. This is my stainless steel baking pan. It's a 9x13. I have been loving this pan. It also comes with a lid. I've been using it for all the things from rolls to cakes to brownies to everything. So make sure to butter that. And here now is my softened butter. I did set this out quite a bit earlier. And you just want to make sure that it's finger soft like that. Not melted per se. You just want it to be nice and soft so that you can cream the butter and sugar together. We're just using a 1/2 cup of softened butter. So that's about 113 grams or 1 stick of butter. And then we're going to use a 1/2 cup of, you can use olive oil or avocado oil or any of your, whatever oil you want to use. I used olive oil today. It was the extra version. It's pretty mild flavor for this one. So it makes the cake very moist and delicious. And to the butter and oil, we're going to add 1 cup of sugar and then 3/4 cups of brown sugar. And since we've been making our homemade brown sugar, which I do have a video for that also that shows you how to make brown sugar and powdered sugar from just cane sugar. So I have a separate video for that. So I just went ahead and did 1 3/4 cup of sugar, and then I added about a tablespoon of the molasses to turn that into the brown sugar. You could, of course, make the brown sugar first or just use brown sugar. This is the molasses that I got, the old-fashioned molasses from AZURE Standard. This molasses has been my favorite molasses that I have ever had. There are a lot of molasses that I really don't care for, and this one is delicious. So if you do have AZURE Standard and you get orders from them and you're looking for molasses, I would recommend to grab this one. So I'm just going to add about a tablespoon. I didn't even measure perfectly. I just put it in there. We all really like the flavor of this one, so if I get a little extra, that's okay. And then I also really wanted to show you a video. You don't always have to have a mixer for fresh milled flour. So this one, you don't need a fancy stand mixer or anything like that. Of course, if you have a stand mixer, you can use this in any stand mixer to cream this butter and sugar, but you can also just use one of these little hand mixers to cream this together. So the reason you want to cream your butter and sugar all the way is that helps with the texture of a cake or a cookie rather than like melting your butter and just mixing it with the sugar. It just really does affect the texture of your cake. So if you've been having troubles with cookies or cakes and it calls for softened butter and you used melted butter, that can sometimes affect the end result. So you want to make sure to take the step to go ahead and cream the butter and sugar together. And make sure that your butter is softened before you go to cream it together. Otherwise, you could damage your mixer and it just won't cream properly. This one maybe was on the border of needing to soften just a tad bit more, but we got it to work around and it creamed all together nice and beautifully in the end. So I just started off on a low speed and then kind of scrape the bowl and then would turn the speed up. And now you can see here where it's nice and creamed all together. And then we're going to add 2 eggs. And 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. This also helps amplify that chocolate flavor and makes it oh so delicious. I do have a video showing you how you can make your own homemade vanilla extract, which is amazing, but it does take a while. So get it started now so that you can use it for later baking. And then we're just going to blend and mix all of that together so that it is kind of a nice fluffy batter. And then I didn't mention before, but in the recipe where I'm going to link down in the description box below, I do have all of the measurements in weight and volume. So either kind of baker you are, you can use, I have both of those measurements down there. And then after this is all creamed together, you're going to add a 1/2 cup of buttermilk. Now, if you don't have buttermilk, you can always substitute with a tablespoon of lemon juice or vinegar, and that will make like a faux substitute buttermilk. Or you could use some milk with some yogurt, or you could use some milk with some sour cream. You just need an acid to help mix with that baking soda so you get a nice rise. You also could use a 1/2 cup of sourdough starter here as well. Okay, after this is all mixed and incorporated together, all of the wet ingredients, I guess you would say, then we're going to add in that shredded zucchini and just mix that evenly throughout. And then we're going to dump in the dry ingredients. And then make sure you mix this slowly when you add in the dry ingredients, because otherwise it goes kind of flying everywhere. So make sure your bowl is big enough that you make this in so that you don't have a big mess. So I'm just slowly mixing this to incorporate it. I don't want to over mix this after I've added in the flour. I just want to make sure that it is all mixed and incorporated with the wet ingredients. And then we're going to preheat our oven to 350 degrees. And I like to let my batter sit just a little bit while the oven is preheating, maybe 10 minutes or so the fresh milk flour can start absorbing that liquid and the bran can start to soften. So anything that you're making, I really like to let that sit for a little bit. I know that you've seen, if you've watched any of my videos, you've seen that I like to let batters sit and doughs sit and all of that stuff, just because fresh milk flour does take longer to start absorbing moisture than what like a white flour would. So after this has had a chance to sit, then I will go ahead and just pour it into my prepared 9x13 baking sheet. So make sure you butter that really well, or you could even just use some oil or grease and flour if you prefer to do it that way so it doesn't stick. And I'm just going to kind of evenly pour the batter in the pan. And this smells so good. I'm so excited to share this. We actually ended up making this and taking it for my niece's birthday. I'm just going to even this out in the pan, and this does rise in the oven, so you want to make sure that you have room for the rise as well. This pan that I'm using has really nice and tall sides as well. But I love that it's not aluminum, it doesn't have a non-stick coating or anything like that. It's just solid stainless steel and it's nice and thick. And I love the lid that it comes with, because I've used this pan also to make my sourdough bread, and I will put it upside down so that I put the dough on the lid portion, and then the portion where I'm pouring the batter in here becomes the lid. So I can fit a Dutch oven into my little tiny countertop oven, but it does not heat evenly throughout very well. So I found this works way better. So I'm so glad that I got this, and it can handle the high heat. At least it has so far. I ended up enjoying this pan so much, my family ended up getting me a second one for last Christmas. Okay, and now this is where you can kind of have fun. If you want to add a frosting or a buttercream at the end after the cake cools, you can absolutely do that. If that's the case, you may not want to do this next step, but we always enjoy it and serve this cake without any kind of icing or frosting. So what we like to do is take some like turbinado sugar, which is like I think another name is the Demerara or sugar in the raw, or one of those really coarse cane sugars, I believe. And we like to sprinkle that on the top, and that sugar doesn't tend to melt. So it'll stay on the top and be just a little bit crispy, and you'll be able to see it after it's done baking, rather than if you were to just sprinkle regular sugar on top. And then we also like to add chocolate chips to the top. So you can sprinkle as much or as little of these toppings as you wish. Some people probably would want to cover the whole thing with chocolate chips, and then others might just want to sprinkle here and there, and you can also leave the chocolate chips off. And you could use semi-sweet, dark chocolate, milk chocolate, white chocolate chips, any peanut butter chocolate chips, any of the chocolate chips that you prefer and that your family likes. So I like the customization that this cake brings also. You can serve it with nothing on top and add toppings, sprinkles, whatever you wish. And then, as I said before, we usually do part of the cake with walnuts and part of the cake without. We don't have any walnut allergies, thank goodness, but we do have people in our family that don't like walnuts. So we usually will make part of this cake without walnuts and then part with walnuts. You could, of course, use pecans or whatever your favorite nut is here also. So just evenly sprinkle that throughout the top, whichever toppings you prefer, before you put it in the oven. I love that this dessert is so easy and it comes together pretty quickly, and it's always a crowd pleaser. Even people that don't like zucchini like this cake. So today I'm just going to go ahead and cover half of it with the walnuts and half without. We're going to do the whole thing with the sugar and then the whole thing with the chocolate chips. And you're going to bake this for about 45 minutes or so. So just keep an eye on it. And then after it bakes, just remove it from the oven and just allow the cake to cool for just a little bit. I mean, honestly, we have enjoyed this cake a little bit warm, but I mean, if you want to frost it or if you want it to hold together really well, you want it to cool completely, but we really enjoy it just a little bit warm, to be honest. And into the oven it goes. And then to store this, we kind of just cover it and leave it at room temperature for a couple days. And if there's any left, but you could also slice this up if you have a small family and you want to enjoy some of this over a long period of time. Slice it and freeze it, and it'll stay in the freezer for probably 3 months or so. And then if you want to enjoy a piece, you can just pull a slice out, let it sit on the counter for an hour or two, and then it'll fall out, and then you can enjoy it. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today while I shared with you my mom's famous chocolate zucchini cake. Let me know down in the comments below, if you give it a try, what you guys think about it. This recipe can be found on my website at grainsandsmallplaces.net. You can find this recipe and a whole bunch of other recipes, all dedicated to fresh milled flour. So thanks for stopping by Grains and Small Places. Goodbye.